take a look at this face. Does it look like one you can trust? Or does it look like one that would lie to you? Well, a terrifying new analog horror series called Angel Engine is asking this very question. But the consequences for getting it wrong, it could just be the end of the world. Hello Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, where we're going to address the elephant in the room. Despite getting the most requests to cover this series, Angel Engine, more than any other analog horror series during my time here as the film theorist, I've been hesitant to because it incorporates a lot of AI-generated art into its videos. Honestly, I don't love that. We here at Theorists support human artists and will always strive to use human-made scripts, assets, and editing in our videos. Sometimes an asset will slip through the cracks. That actually happened last week with a Minecraft asset. We go through a rigorous quality control process during our editing, with at least 3 people looking over our videos looking for that sort of stuff, and it still got through. As much as I'd love to say that it won't happen again, I can't, and that's because generative AI is becoming so good that it's nigh on impossible to tell sometimes. And it's only going to get harder because it's becoming an increasingly larger part of mainstream productions. Every single day there's a new story about big budget film studios or game developers finding new ways to shove AI into their products. Movies use it, video games use it, clothes and commercials use it. Heck, Google's even forcing it into my emails and meetings. It's a matter of when, not if, it eventually gets into everything. And just, yuck. But I don't know how we can continue to avoid AI completely. So I believe the right thing to do here is figure out the best way to move forward together. I'm going to be doing a big, serious couch video on this in the near future, but the big picture, whenever we cover something that we believe uses a significant amount of AI, we'll call that out so you can decide if you want to give that work the time of day. And we will also spotlight relevant, wholly human creators and projects when we do. If you want some of my favorites in the analog horror space right now, I cannot recommend Unknowingly, Dr. Nowhere, and Darian Quilloy enough. We've covered all 3 on the channel before, and I really want to revisit their work someday. And I also want to cover more human creators. I've been dying to explore series like Greylock or The Monument Mythos, but at this point, both of those series probably need hour-long explainers just to get everyone on the same page on the story before we can even start traditional theorizing. So, my question to you is, would you guys be interested in those explainers? Longer videos that really dive into the storylines of these series to make them digestible with a theorist twist. Please, let me know in the comments below. Whew, serious conversation done, so let's actually talk about Angel Engine, shall we? If you don't know, this is a brand new analog horror series created by Unearthly Hub that builds on a lot of religious ideas and iconography, all while telling a depressing story. You know, classic analog horror fare. This story takes place in a not-so-distant future where humanity has found an infinite source of energy, and the only thing they need to do to harness it?
Cage an angel.
Yep, this is one of those analog horrors. A haunting story about angels, humanity, and a deceiver looking to destroy the world. Strap yourselves in, loyal theorists, as we climb to the top of the Tower of Babel and uncover what's really powering the Angel Engine. So naturally, the first thing we should try to figure out here is, what the heck is going on in this story? As of the writing of this script, there's only been a handful of episodes of Angel Engine, each only about a minute or 2 in length. The beginning of this story introduces us to this handsome fella. We're just gonna call him Triangle Head for now, who gives us a step-by-step guide on how to, cage an angel? Man, YouTube tutorials really are getting niche these days. Anyway, Triangle Head gives us a handy 8-step guide, but we can sum them up in just 5. First, exploit the planet's resources until humanity is on the brink of extinction. Easy peasy, barely an inconvenience. 2, pray for a solution to the problem. 3, God should then send a messenger in the form of an angel. 4, capture this angel and hook it up to your Angel Engine, which is a thing that you should totally have, by the way, but more on that in a second. And 5, use the power of the angel to fix everything. That doesn't sound too hard, does it? Now, this of course begs the question, the heck is an Angel Engine? Well, it's a device created by Nobel Prize-winning scientist Dr. Jeff Ernstman designed to capture and extract energy from an angel. So, pretty self-explanatory. But I do have to mention that in another video, it's revealed that Ernstman maybe didn't create the engine, but instead just found it. Here, we're introduced to another handsome fella that we're gonna call Bronze Face. He tells us that to find an Angel Engine, we must go to the Holy Land, find a burial site, and then...
Look upon me, look upon me. Look upon me. Release me.
Horrifying. Just what could go wrong? Anyway, the craziest thing about the Angel Engine is that the device actually works, and humanity's been able to execute on Triangle Head's plan. Yeah, really. Things got so bad here on Earth, and so many people prayed to God for help that he sent the Archangel Uriel to help, only for Uriel to be captured and hooked into the Angel Engine, and the results have been crazy. According to tests, the Angel Engine can produce an infinite amount of energy, and in one demonstration, it was even able to bring someone back from the dead after 24 hours, as if nothing had happened. All it costs is for Uriel to be in immense, incredible pain, but we don't need to worry about that, right? This discovery changed humanity basically overnight, and now we house the Angel Engine in a giant tower that's been dubbed the Second Tower of Babel. This is wildly simplified, of course, but if you didn't know, the Tower of Babel is a building in the Bible which was supposed to represent a united but arrogant humanity rebelling against God, with the tower trying to reach up to heaven. That story didn't end very well for humanity, so, very smart of us to try that again here in Angel Engine. And either way, humanity is not as united as it was in that story. The second the Angel Engine project got announced, it divided people. Some people were excited about the potential to push humanity forward, while others were justifiably concerned about, capturing and torturing a real, actual angel. Either way, this new technology catapults Dr. Ernstman into becoming one of the most famous people on the planet. He goes on a media tour, he gets magazine cover stories written about him, he even appears as a guest on TV talk shows. All he really needs to do at this point is hit the YouTube podcast circuit and he's done everything. But that fame also comes with haters, understandably so. There are some concerned with how Uriel is being treated, though Ernstman does seemingly lie and says that he can leave whenever he'd like. Others don't believe that such an invention should even get Ernstman any recognition at all. Upset at this, and perhaps feeling a bit arrogant, Ernstman announces that he has a new invention to show off to the world, one that doesn't require the use of an angel or Uriel. But unfortunately, hours before he was set to unveil his new creation, he was shot 3 times by a creepy-looking person wielding a homemade weapon. Ernstman was then brought to a hospital for an emergency surgery, but later died from his injuries. And yeah, that's more or less the basics of this story. Clearly, it's creepy, right? But what's the next level deeper here? What can we find by digging? Well, a lot of the real deep creep factor here comes down to some small details, many of which are religious references, like obviously, right? Clearly, the angels are religious, and the Second Tower of Babel is a reference to that biblical story, but there are way more than that. For instance, there are multiple mentions that this series takes place in the quote-unquote Holy Land. Even deeper than that, though, if we look at the 2 mysterious figures in this series, Triangle Head and Bronze Face, they also have religious origins. Here, let me explain. So, these dudes are weird, right? They're probably the most visually iconic part of this series, but they don't have any direct bearing on the whole Dr. Ernstman plot and his creations. They just sort of pop up randomly to give strats for speedrunning the apocalypse. But if we read between the lines and apply some knowledge from biblical lore, we can figure out exactly who and what these guys are meant to be. Let's start with Bronze Face, since he's slightly easier to work out. If we look at his design closely, you'll see a bunch of tubes and wires sticking out of him. It's almost like he's hooked up to some sort of machine, right? Perhaps some sort of engine? Throughout the series, we see multiple examples of Uriel, the angel that was captured, being hooked up to the Angel Engine with similar wires and tubes. So, Bronze Face? He is Uriel. But hey, I get if that's just a little too coincidental for you. There is more. Several videos show the exact same scene that Bronze Face is in, just with Uriel's head, including one that swaps back and forth between the two. Like, this one couldn't be more of a slam dunk, guys. So, who is Uriel, other than a janky Oblivion character?
You are the one from my dreams.
You guys know me, I always gotta slip in a fantasy reference. Anyway, Uriel isn't a name made up for this series. No, in some Judeo-Christian traditions, Uriel is one of the archangels, basically one of the most powerful angels. And that right there tells us a heck of a lot about the world of Angel Engine. If people prayed to God for help and he sent down one of his big guns, that tells me that this civilization was not in a good way. It may have even been on the brink of total collapse. And that makes it even more tragic that humanity took advantage of this situation and trapped Uriel in this machine. This is taking a massive toll on Uriel's body, enough so that it's starting to deteriorate. His body is withering away, and that's why he has the bronze face to begin with. And at this point, all he wants is, well, just look at the very first thing he told us.
Look upon me, look upon me, look upon me. Release me.
He He wants to be freed, and who can blame him? So that's the identity of Bronzeface worked out, but what about the other mysterious figure? The one who started us down this whole rabbit hole to begin with, Triangle Head. Well, despite being the face of the series, figuring out who he is and his whole deal is way more challenging. So what do we have on this guy? Well, besides being the one who told us how to summon an angel, Triangle Head also warns us about someone he just calls him. In fact, Uriel also warns us about this guy.
Listen to me. You are in great danger. He is not I. You do not possess the means to restrain him. Do not let him in.
This happens multiple times.
He is here. He will catch you.
And in fact, in episode 3, Triangle Head and Uriel have a back and forth dialogue about him, almost as if they're talking about each other. Here, take a look.
He is coming.
Do not let him in.
Do not be deceived.
He is not your friend.
He has no friends.
Be not afraid
He comes but to deceive.
to lead you astray.
He will be here soon.
Which, hey, makes sense. If Uriel is an angel, then maybe Triangle Head can be a devil of sorts. You can have a real sort of angel and devil on your shoulder situation here. But at the same time, I'm just not so sure that Triangle Head is a bad guy. Why? Well, both Uriel and Triangle Head constantly warn us about a mysterious deceiver throughout the series.
Do not let him in.
Do not let him in.
Your first thought might be that they're just trying to warn us about each other, but that also doesn't make a ton of sense when you think about this in context. If Triangle Head is talking about Uriel, and Uriel is currently strapped into the angel engine, why would he be worried about letting him in? Is he talking about, like, into our minds? Into our souls? No, it makes more sense to say that we shouldn't be letting Uriel out. I don't believe that they're talking about each other. Uriel and Triangle Head are both trying to warn us about a different third person, a deceiver. But wait, if Triangle Head and Uriel are on the same side, then what does that make Triangle Head? Well, if Uriel is one of God's archangels, then perhaps Triangle Head is too. I mean, that would explain how he would actually know how to capture an angel and why he's constantly seen on a background full of stars. He's in the heavens. And after doing some digging, I identified which one he likely is. Gabriel. Gabriel appears a few times in the Bible to characters like the prophet Daniel and Mary, acting as a messenger of God and giving visions of the future. And hey, what do you know, but that sounds a lot like what Triangle Head does here in Angel Engine.
I have traversed the gulf of time to bring you this message.
They're both messengers who bring visions of the future who live in backdrops of the heavens. Triangle Head is Gabriel. Okay, so we have pretty good reason to believe that our two freaky faces are the archangels Uriel and Gabriel, and they're both warning us about someone they're calling a deceiver. So, who is that? Throughout the series, there's been a mysterious figure who keeps appearing in the background, not saying anything, just lurking. He seems to be a good fit, but who is he? Well, to nail that down, we'll need to dive into the Angel Engine ARG. Yes, there's an ARG here of a sort. In one of the episodes, you'll see a URL reading angelengineinitiative.org, and of course, you know we had to check it out. And it's a real website. Here, you'll find a public statement from the Tower of Babel announcing that Dr. Ernstman has been shot. At this point, we knew that already, so that doesn't really tell us anything new. But do you know what this article does have that's new? A comment section. Below the statement is an entire fake thread of comments on the news with everything you'd expect. People calling each other names, putting forward conspiracy theories, as well as other little clues and references. But one of those comments really stands out. It cites two seemingly random Bible verses, 1 John 2:18 and 2 John 7. Both of which warn about another person to be wary of. To quote from the King James Bible, 2 John 7, "For many deceivers are entered into the world who confess not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist." And 1 John 2:18, "Little children, it is the last time, and as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time." Yeah, you heard that right both times. Antichrist. Those are two of only a handful of verses in the entire Bible that mention the idea of an antichrist Antichrist by name. If you don't know, in Christian eschatology, that's the study of the end of the world, the Antichrist is a sign that the end times are coming. There's a promise of someone or some people who will come and falsely claim that they are the second coming of Jesus Christ. And you know who else seems like they're acting like the second coming of Jesus here in this series? Dr. Ernstman. Think about it. Not only was he the one who seemingly invented or discovered the angel engine, which provides infinite energy and can heal people or even bring them back from the dead, but he let that fame go to his head with the desire to create and get credit for other inventions. One comment from the ARG site really drives this home, calling him a deceiver. Others mentioned that he was playing God or was not the real God. And come on, if this magazine cover doesn't spell it out clear enough that he's meant to be our representation of the Antichrist, I don't know what will. So if Dr. Ernstman is filling the bill as the Antichrist, what happens now? So what? I mean, he's dead. Well, as the story progresses, it seems increasingly likely that we may see him return. You see, in that comment thread on the Angel Initiative website, as well as the real comment thread on Instagram, many people are asking a pretty reasonable question. The Angel Engine can bring people back from the dead. Why don't they just use it to heal Dr. Ernstman? I think that's exactly where they're going with this. And as one comment puts it, he's going to be the next miracle, but he's not going to be himself. I believe that couldn't be more correct. In the latest episode, after Ernstman is shot, we see what looks like his soul being taken by some mysterious creature. Honestly, it reminds me a little bit of the Truth from Fullmetal Alchemist, but I digress. Anyway, if I were to guess, this monster is the true embodiment of the Antichrist, and it has taken Ernstman's soul in the afterlife. And if they resurrect Ernstman's body, this is what's going to be inside of it. He will become this horrible, terrible figure, the deceiver that Gabriel and Uriel have warned us about. And the only way to defeat him is going to be to release Uriel before Ernstman can deceive us, irreversibly corrupt humanity, and destroy the resources of the planet. All the more ironic since this series is so heavily created with the help of AI, huh? But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. Up next on Film Theory. TikTok's most terrifying horror creator has invaded YouTube with a series all about the demons you can find online.